And the Bucs hope that this will be their first victory ever.
We have a great area, a growing area, in Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Sarasota, Bradenton, Lakeland, and Winnehaven, and even Wachoo. Over 2 million fans, and it's the fastest growing area in the United States.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, live from Tampa Stadium. For the first time ever in a regular season, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers enter the stadium with numbers in both the win and loss columns. The Buccaneers came onto the field to a wild standing ovation from the some 60,000-plus fans at Tampa Stadium. They did not introduce any players individually. The PA announcer said, "Ladies and gentlemen, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers."
Welcome to San Diego, California, Super Bowl 37. It is Tampa Bay versus the Oakland Raiders.
Third down, 18, dropping Gannon, looking, throws up in the head, intercepted at the 40, Derek Brooks 30, Brooks to the 25, 20, Derek Brooks all the way, there it is, the dagger's in, we're gonna win the Super Bowl.
Tom Brady signing with the Tampa Bay Bucs tomorrow. Holy hell.
Everyone always says, why the Bucs, man? Why did you choose the Bucs? And it was a no-brainer.
Brady has all kinds of time, throws toward the end zone. It is a caught ball. Touchdown, Tampa Bay, Mike Evans. 8 seconds, 7 seconds. Brady to throw, throws a deep pass downfield. Got Scotty Miller in the open, makes the catch. Touchdown, Tampa Bay.
Super Bowl 55 will be underway at Raymond James Stadium. Here's the snap out of the gun. Play action fake pass to Gronkowski. He's going to score a touchdown. Touchdown Tampa Bay. Holy guacamole. Bucs are the Super Bowl champs. They can't stop the clock. And there the cannons go. Fire them. Keep on firing them. Keep on firing them.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers from the 48-yard line. Second down, 13. Brady lobs one downfield. Caught ball by Gronkowski inside the 20 to the 15-10. Gronkowski to the 5 to the 4-yard line. Holy guacamole.
Here's the snap. Pressure coming from the outside. Brady throws a pass. Caught ball first out of the 50. Outside the numbers 40 to the 30-yard line. To the 25. It's Perriman. Bashaud Perriman. Touchdown Tampa Bay. Bucs win in overtime.
This is the Big Nasty. Yeah, Big Nasty. Hall of Fame Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, baby.
This is Mike Allstott, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you're listening to the Cannon Fire Podcast.
Cannon Fire Podcast, brother. You ain't listening, and you're missing out. Woo!
And there the cannons go. Fire them. Keep on firing them. Keep on firing them.
Bucs win. Bucs win 31-15, your final score from Raymond James Stadium. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers play their first home playoff game in a decade and a half, and they basically put Philly to shame. A game that should have been 31-0, if we're frank. I mean, I hate to come off and, be a little overconfident here, but I will tell you, this was a game that Tampa Bay dominated in every aspect from just about beginning to end. The defense got kind of lackadaisical towards the end of the game, but obviously we'll talk about that. But, I mean, with limited reinforcements on offense, 31 points at home, and the defense playing some of their best football of the season, ladies and gentlemen, you can't feel much better than that to start a playoff run for the Buccaneers here in 2022. Welcome back to the Cannon Fire Podcast, live on YouTube today for episode 247. I'm your host, as always, Rhett Matthew, joined alongside me, my good buddy and co-host, the Philly Bucs fan himself, Mr. Devin Wanish. We can finally call you that again. It's good to see the Birds get vanquished in the first round.
It is. Yeah, thank God. I mean, geez. Just, I know the running joke is that I'm a closet Eagles fan, but man, if the Eagles would have beat the Bucs there, that would have been torture. That would not have been good. So, would have been a rough, man. And that would have ended the Bucs season, man. That would have been a really rough freaking months for me, honestly. Even if the Eagles got trounced by the Packers next week, it wouldn't have mattered. But luckily, the Bucs took care of business, and they just dominated. This was pure domination. I think the offensive game plans were great. The defensive game plan was great. Now Philly missed on a few things. They didn't play their best game, but a lot of it has to do with the Bucs just coming out. And you can tell that this team is a team that has played playoff football before, right?
Yes.
I know they were really only there last year, right? But they've played playoff football before versus a team that I think, the broadcast said that the Eagles had 29 players who had never even seen a playoff game. So there was an experience factor there, and it showed up. The Bucs came ready to play playoff football, and the Eagles simply didn't. They got punched in the mouth, and they didn't know how to respond. And that's exactly what you got to do when you're the 2 seed and you got the 7 seed there. I know I said it was going to be close, right? I think I was giving the Eagles too much credit. And I mean, even you, I think you had the Bucs only winning by 4 points.
I did predict the Bucs to put up 31 points, but I think I had Philly putting up 24. But here's the thing. I mean, yes, we probably did give Philly a little too much credit. I know there's some people in our live chat who feel pretty good right about now that we're going to have to eat our words about this, but the last time you and I did not give an opponent credit, it was the New York Jets who almost beat the Bucs. And the time before that, it was the Washington football team who successfully beat the Bucs and ruined the first ever Can of Fire watch party. So if we have a little reason to, want to try and give credit to a team that's in the playoffs, that's a little bit of reason. But I am so glad that we were wrong, because when it was 31-0, all I could do was think about that quote that you had said. If people are wanting the Bucs to win by 20 points, they're going to be disappointed this week. So
yeah,
here we are.
Yeah. Well, they didn't win by 20 points, so
there you
technically, technically they did not.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot like the Week 6 game. Like the Week 6, we all know it was 28-22, but man, it was not that close, right? The Bucs probably should have won that game like 28-13 or something. But I mean, just a fantastic execution on both sides of the ball. Even special teams contributed, obviously, right, with the turnover.
Yeah.
Ryan Suckup, making all of his kicks with the weather, which I again said it was overblown, right? It's the wind wasn't a huge factor, was it? This was. Philly they earned their way. They earned their way into the playoffs, but you could tell this was a team that beat up on bad teams to get here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You could tell this was a team that hadn't really played a good team in a little while. And the Bucs really showed why they are the defending champs. And, they obviously have to play better. You have to play better each week, right, as the playoffs go on. It was really nice. And David Cardona has a question for Coach Wanish.
Here we go. Let me get back up on the podium
really
here.
quick.
So we had actually addressed a little bit earlier. Coach Wanish, 4-1 now. Your playoff predictions for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the last 2 seasons. We have a question here from David, the moderator. Coach Wanish, how would it feel to get to game plan? Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. How did it feel to get the game plan to be a tremendous success, especially on defense this week to start the playoffs?
I think it's all about the guys believing in each other, and we have a group that really believes in each other, and all 53 men, not just the defense, even the offense. We all believe, and we got a tremendous group of talented football players who want to be here, who want to fight, who want to battle. They did just that today. Really made life difficult on that inexperienced quarterback, and really able to make a statement today.
So let's start to go through the motions of the Buccaneers' 31-15 victory in the wild card round. First drive of the game, the Buccaneers offense comes out, and there were some speed bumps at the beginning. I will tell you this, it wasn't as perfect as it could have been for the Buccaneers offense. We knew they were coming into this game shorthanded. We got
the $5 super chat from Go Bucks, Go Bolts. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, dude. We really do appreciate your support donating to the Wendy's Fund. Go Bucks. Yes, sir. So, first drive of the game. Bucks are making their way down the field, and Tristan Wirfs goes down. And I got to tell you, one of the things I'm most thankful for this week is that the Bucks seem to get away from this one healthy, as healthy as they could have been, because the start of this game was really just bad vibes all around. You had Tristan Wirfs go down with a leg injury. First drive of the game. They end up punching it in for a touchdown, and then you lose Ryan Jensen, who, by the way, I think we should credit him as one of the toughest guys in the NFL, because he has been visibly injured multiple times on this Bucs roster. He does not care. He comes back in the game, and he finishes it like the G that he is. But, Tristan Wirfs missing at the right tackle position. He came back later in the game and actually wanted to get your opinion on this. He comes back in the game, clearly laboring on that right foot, plays about 3 snaps, and it looks like he, does everything but re-injure himself on that last snap because it takes him a minute to get off the field. Should he have gone back out there after kind of, he's listed as questionable, gets his ankle looked at, tries to get back out there, but clearly he wasn't the same player while he was out there. And again, that third down where Brady takes a sack, pressure comes in on the right, and Tristan just folds, man. Like he looked like more of a liability out there at that point than anything. Like, should they have just let him rest? Whose decision was it to let him back out there?
Honestly, I don't know. It could have been the offensive line coaches, could have been Bruce Arians, could be Tristan Wirfs. I think you definitely have communication with the player on an injury like that. You're not just gonna throw him out there if the player says he can't go. Like I said, contrary to popular belief, you don't just do that. So yeah, I think it's all of them really, the coaching staff and the players sort of communicating together. And I guess Wirfs thought he could give it a go in the playoffs. When it's do or die like this, you want to give it your all.
Yeah.
But you're right. When you become a sort of a liability, like that's not Tristan Wirfs, right? Like he was terrible. Like you could, he's trying to do it on one foot. It was not working. And I think after that they were like, the only thing that could have, made it worse is if he injured it worse, which luckily it doesn't sound like he did. It doesn't sound like he injured it any worse. And maybe that's a factor. Maybe the doctor said that, hey, he'll play on pain, but he can't injure it any worse.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know what's going on with those conversations. But yeah, it was nice to see him try and tough it out. But ultimately, I don't think they should have put him back in. And like I said, good to see him try and tough it out. Kudos to Ryan Jensen for toughing it out. Clearly, his injury was not as hurtful as Wirfs was, because if it was the same injury as Wirfs, you would have seen a different type of Jensen out there. But he's a tough SOB, so he wasn't coming out.
Oh yeah, Bruce Arians actually came out and said it's just a sprained ankle for Tristan Wirfs, so Bucs fans all over can collectively breathe a sigh of relief. Is just a sprained ankle. Hopefully, it doesn't turn into anything worse over the course of the next week or so. But, you think about the severity of a sprained ankle, it hits a little bit differently when you're a 330-pound NFL lineman at about 6'6", So a sprained ankle for those guys, as opposed to just you or me, is a little different. But hopefully Tristan is feeling good enough. And, of course, if we have any updates throughout the week, we will keep you posted on that one. Let's talk a little bit more about what went well for the Bucs on offense today, because aside from a couple of close calls with injuries, it really seemed like most of what they were able to work with was positive. Some execution errors, and we'll talk about that with the individual players here in a second, but let's kick things off with the quarterback, Tom Brady, TB12. His day looked like this: 29 for 37, 271 yards, 2 touchdowns. I thought Brady looked awesome today. I mean, it's Tom Brady in the playoffs. That's a little bit more of what we got today.
Yeah, it's that's what you gotta assume. I think when the playoffs start, you have to expect this type of performance. He was good, right? There was a few, early on, it was a little, there was a few balls you probably would like to have back, but it seemed like they really got settled into a rhythm. There was a one time I think he had 8 or 9 straight completions. They were running really up tempo, and the Eagles just didn't have an answer. And he was really good. And he wasn't spectacular, but he was really good. And he didn't need to be spectacular right now. There will be times when they need him to be spectacular. This wasn't one of those times. The running game, while that wasn't anything to write home about, it did its job. Right? They didn't break off 25, 30-yard runs, but he didn't need to. They put themselves in a lot of second and third and manageable situations on first down, that they were able to really control what they wanted to do on offense. They weren't put in many situations where they sort of had a disadvantage per se. And I think, part of that, really was Brady. And the surprising thing is, it's not like Brashad Perryman, Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller. None of those guys had huge days. Yeah. Like, it's not like they were just, on fire and spectacular. Tyler Johnson had the drop early on third down. Brady was not happy with him, even though I do think the ball could have been a little bit better that Brady threw. But, looking here, Tyler Johnson, 2 catches for 30 yards. He had that one really nice catch. Scotty Miller had 1 catch for 8 yards. Rashad Perryman 1 catch for 5 yards. And then the other, Cameron Brady had 3 for 29. Gronkowski had 5 for 31. Gio Bernard 5 for 39. Mike Evans had 9 for 117. O.J. Howard also had a 3-yard catch. So it's not like those receivers dominated, right? It's just the offensive game plan was good enough, and that's what I said it needed to be in order to have success in this game, and it was.
Tyler Johnson, Cam Brate, Keyshawn Vaughn, Scotty Miller, Gio Bernard, Rob Gronkowski, those might not have been the guys who dominated the day offensively for Tampa Bay, but we cannot discredit big number 13, Mike Evans. 9 receptions, 117 yards, and a touchdown, as you had just mentioned. We said a couple of weeks ago, the Buccaneers offense during this playoff run is going to depend on Mike Evans to be that guy. And that's exactly what he was today. He was that guy. When asked about who he wants to play next week, he doesn't really care. He said actually at his post-game press conference, whatever team plays the most man coverage. And it didn't seem like the Eagles were playing a ton of man coverage today. It seemed like they played a little more zone than I thought they would have. But
that's the Eagles defense. They rarely play man. They play a lot of zone. And they actually played a little bit more man than they have at some points this season. It just didn't. It seemed like they just didn't really work. It didn't. No matter what they did, didn't really work. So the Bucs really dominated. Besides, there's a little bit of a lull there, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, great to see. I mean, as we had mentioned so many times before, you got to remember this is an offense that isn't necessarily working with spare parts, because it's not like you're missing a number 1 wide receiver in Mike Evans. You are missing 2 great playmakers and Chris Godwin and that other guy that they cut a few weeks ago. But, you still got Gronk. You still have pieces to get it done on this offense. But, the speed bumps that they had to get over in the first half of this game, I'm glad they were able to do that relatively quickly. Some of it came down to execution errors, a couple of drops from Tyler Johnson, the missed timing on those routes. Like that's stuff that can be fixed. And you're glad that they're using this game to fix it as opposed to whoever they're playing next week. Because when you're up 31-0, that's when you can kind of, figure out what's going to work and what isn't.
Yeah. You're 100% right. And there's opportunities to make sure, that, like you said, to try out some things. And they even tried the end around with Scotty Miller, and it worked, which I wasn't. If you listen to the game review show last week, I wasn't happy that they did it last week.
Well, you weren't happy that they did it twice too, because not only did they do it once and get the touchdown, they busted it out again. Really quickly, just to speak to the run game, I didn't mean to cut you off, but just wanted to gloss over this really quickly. Keyshawn Vaughn, his day looked like this: 17 carries, 53 yards, and a touchdown. Gio Bernard also found the end zone, 13 carries, 44 yards for him, and a touchdown. And then, of course, Scotty Miller, 1 carry for 9 yards, no touchdowns. But that end around from Scotty Miller did put them over 100 rushing yards on the day. So safe to say that two-headed approach with Keyshawn Vaughn and Gio Bernard, while it wasn't mind-blowing, it wasn't playoff Lenny running for 100-plus yards, it was definitely enough to get the job done between both of those guys. And I think you got to credit those guys in particular, especially, in my opinion, Keyshawn Vaughn, who has no doubt been stepping up over the last quarter of this regular season and here into the playoffs.
Yeah, to me, it looked like I was more impressed with Bernard. Just as far as catching out of the backfield too, you could definitely tell that Brady was looking for him. Keyshawn Vaughn, I don't think he had a drop. I think he caught his 2 targeted passes, but Bernard's just a more dynamic receiver out of the backfield. It just is what it is. So, but Vaughn both played good. I don't really have anything negative to say about those guys. Like we said, they didn't do anything spectacular, but they didn't need to. So, Pat. So Le'Veon Bell did not play, but he was dressed. He was active. The only Bucs running back that was not active was Kenyon Barner. So Bell was active. It's just, I guess they didn't really need him. They sort of want him to, I guess, be an emergency option. So, it's I appreciate James telling you guys to come here. We were a little bit mad at James because he was doing a live show and we were like, why? But
James he kind of surprised us on that one. He doesn't normally go live.
He doesn't do that.
But hey, shout out to all of our people coming in, from our guy at Mr. Bucks Nation. We truly appreciate you checking out the live stream.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you guys a lot. And so I thought the run game really did their job. I really did. I mean, the first play of the game was that the massive hole that the offensive line opened up, and it was a first down run for Keyshawn Vaughn. They really did a good job. And it's going to be important. Leonard Fournette sounds like he's going to play next week. It sounds like they're optimistic. I think Arian said until he's at full speed, they're not going to play him. So I do think that, I do think that he'll play, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's on a snap count, especially if Keyshawn Vaughn and Gio Bernard continue to play this way.
Oh, yeah. And before we talk about the defensive side of the ball, I just wanted to give some credit to that offensive line. I know we mentioned Ryan Jensen going down for a little bit, Tristan Wirfs missing the rest of the game after he left, but how about Josh Wells stepping in at right tackle for most of the game? I know there were a couple of points he was blown up, and I know Josh Wells isn't that great at football, but for what the guy was asked to do in a playoff game, I think you got to give it up for those guys, because for the most part, there were a couple of third downs where Tom Brady had some pressure. He had to take a sack 3 straight times towards the end of the game. But aside from that, I really thought this offensive line did the best that they could.
Yeah, I thought Wells played fine. There was, especially in the first few drives, he's also dealing with an injury. So he's not 100% healthy either.
He limped off the field at halftime. I think a lot of people might have missed that one too.
Yeah, he's not 100% healthy. I thought he did fine. There was a few plays where definitely Ryan Kerrigan sort of took his lunch money, but I thought for the most part, for the spot he was put in, he did fine. And I do think Josh Wells gets a little bit too much hate that he needs to get. But he's a backup tackle at the end of the day. Like, it is what it is. There's not many great backup tackles because everybody's looking for good tackles. So I'm not sure what they do if Tristan Wirfs can't go. We'll see. We're not really going to talk too much about that right now. We already discussed, he has the sprained ankle, but we'll see if he practices at all this week, and we'll have to wait and see on updates there.
And just a quick score update, because we are live the same time as the San Francisco and Dallas game. The 49ers are up 7-0, and this is a game that's pretty critical on deciding who the Bucs are going to play in the divisional round next week. If Dallas wins this game, Bucs are going to play the Cowboys no matter what. But if the 49ers hang on and conquer Dallas, well, the Bucs are going to play the winner of the Rams and the Cardinals. So definitely a game you're going to want to pay close attention to here.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely, obviously, a lot of implications there. You're right. If the 49ers hang on to win, if they upset the Cowboys, then we won't know the opponent until tomorrow night. But there's a chance we'll know the opponent by the end of tonight. Who knows, right? It'll be interesting to see. Each matchup has sort of their own quirks and stuff. So obviously, you can't really get too much into that because we don't know who it's going to be yet. So let's we talked a lot about the offense. Mm-hmm. Now I think we got to go on to who is really the bigger story of the day, and that's his defense. His defense, was pretty much spectacular. And they're like I said about the offensive lull, that was the chance for the Eagles to get back in the game, and the defense continually shut the door. If you remember, I believe the offense they still had 17 points when Jalen Reagor muffed that punt.
Yeah.
And then they scored a touchdown. So Philly was still in the game, but the defense was just not giving Philly any sort of room. And that was a spectacular thing to see.
Yeah, 3 total turnovers on the day for this Buccaneers defense, basically picking up right where they left off in the postseason of 2020. You love to see that from them today. As we go through what their afternoon looked like, the start that they had, I think, was the best start they've had all season. I mean, it definitely helps because this is the closest this defense has been to healthy all season. You got Shaq Barrett back out there, Levante David, JPP was making some noise every now and again. Sean Murphy-Bunting ended up missing this game, but that's all right. They were still able to get it done. Andrew Adams made a couple of plays. Carlton Davis, I thought, had a pretty impressive day, but I'll tell you, the guy who made the most noise, I know the return of 54 was very, very well received, and you could tell this was a different offense or a different defense stopping the run over those the first 2 drives. But a welcome sight was the return of playoff Devin White, man. 45 was all over the place today, and that was something that we were really looking forward to because that's going to determine, how far the Bucs go in this playoff run, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So it's good to see 45 out there doing his thing once again.
Yeah, and James with the $5 super chat says,
thanks so much, buddy.
He's begging people to subscribe to CFP.
Really quickly, actually, we haven't officially said anything on the podcast, but thank you guys so much for 3,000 subscribers over here on YouTube. We actually hit it just before midnight last night, so very excited to get this in time for the playoffs. It's a huge achievement for the channel, but we truly would not be able to do it without everybody who chooses to tune in and check out our content. So you guys are the best. Thank you so much for 3K.
Yeah, I echo everything that you just said. I couldn't agree more. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. It means a lot to both of us. So yeah, really appreciate every little bit. This is one of our best years ever. So yeah. It's been really magical. Thanks a lot, guys. But yeah, I mean, Devin White has really shown that maybe this is the type of player he is. Maybe this is just the type of player. Right. We'll see how he responds next week. Right. And plays. But maybe this is the type of player. If he is, I'll take it. I'll be frustrated, but I'll take it. That some guys just play better in the playoffs. You see it a lot with hockey, where just guys just step up in the playoffs, man. Guys, sometimes have 5 regular season goals, but in the playoffs, they have 7 goals in 4 games or whatever. It's just crazy. Guys turn on when the playoffs come, and maybe Devin White is that type of player. If he is, I'm sure the Bucs will take it. And yeah, it was a welcome sight. Early on, Devin White was making splash plays, and that's what really you needed to see just to get his confidence up.
One more $2 super chat from Mr. Bucs Nation. He says, congrats on 3K, boys. Thank you so much, James.
That's a total of $7 from Mr. Bucs Nation.
Mr.
Wow.
Moneybags.
He is emptying the bank account tonight, guys. Wow. He is not going to be able to get Chick-fil-A.
I don't think it's gonna be Junior Bacon cheeseburgers tonight. It might be a couple of Baconators if James keeps digging deep.
I know, but James just sacrifices Chick-fil-A tomorrow for us. I mean, he's not going to be able to afford it. Man, appreciate it. Yeah, it's really good by Devin White. Obviously Levante David, it helps having him out there. I think you saw that today. The amount of times that Devin White looked like he was in the right position. He looked like he knew what he was doing. Where a lot of the times when Levante David's been out, Devin White seems to have no clue what's going on. But it's something different when those two are together, which isn't good because Levante David isn't going to play forever, right? And Devin White's going to be in the league longer than Levante David has left. But, it's for right now, hey, if it works, it works. And, I thought the presence of Levante David was felt. Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett, I thought played fine. Shaq Barrett obviously had a fantastic play on the tip interception.
What a catch, man. I mean, to reach up there with the one hand, he almost looked like the Jordan logo for a minute. Just legs full spread, arm up in the air. He's able to bring that catch in and take it back quite a few yards as well. I thought he was gonna break for glory at one point, but just a very athletic play from 58.
Yeah, very good return. And I guess, the run defense looked a lot better, didn't it? Everybody talked about it all week, and that was the big story. If the Eagles were going to be able to win, it was going to be because they controlled the football by running it, controlled the clock, and kept Brady and the offense off the field. That's what it was going to be, and they couldn't do that. And credit to the Bucs, they really stepped up, and that was the run defense that you saw early on in the season. That was the run defense. They did, have a little bit of trouble when Hurts pulled it back and ran it himself, which I'm surprised Philly didn't do that more often. But there was a few times where it did work. In the first drive, I think the Eagles had a 3rd and 2. They tried it with Hurts, it didn't work. So, I think the run defense really stepped up. Just everybody played really well on defense. Really, there wasn't many guys that you could say, well, he could have had a better game. I thought really everybody did their job. Pat points out Jodran Shoenka played really well, had the one tip, almost led to a Jamel Dean interception.
Yeah, man.
Mike Edwards with the complete ball hawk interception. That's an inexperienced mistake by Jalen Hurts there. Sort of has to get rid of that ball earlier or just throw it away, and he throws it, and Mike Edwards makes him pay for it. To me, that was the turning point. That was right before the half, and Philly got the ball to start the second half. If Philly scores any points there, even if it's just a field goal, I think that game might turn out a little bit differently. But for Mike Edwards to to keep the Eagles with a goose egg on the board going into half, I think was huge. So a fantastic play by him. And yeah, really a big time performance by this defense. I mean, there was not a whole lot there. And then, like I said, the Eagles are the masters, I guess, of scoring garbage time touchdowns against the Bucs when it's all like when the game's already in hand.
Right.
Just to make it look, a little bit better, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, man. I'll tell you what, if I have to nitpick something on the day, if I have to find something to complain about, there's those chuckle nuts up there in the booth for Fox who apparently would rather be calling this Dallas 49ers game right now. I mean, Troy Aikman and Joe Buck for most of the afternoon sounded like they would have rather been anywhere else on the planet except for Raymond James Stadium. What a couple of yucks those guys are.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Was that not so obnoxious to listen to after so long?
Yeah, I mean, it's Troy Aikman's a Cowboys quarterback. He's always going to favor that. But yeah, I get it. I don't know.
It just like the Bucs were up 24-0, and it just seemed like they were doing everything they could to discredit either how the Bucs got there or why the Eagles.
Yeah, they weren't really talking about the Bucs. Yeah, they weren't really talking about the Bucs a whole lot.
No,
which I understand when a game's a blowout like that, it's kind of hard to get excited about too much. Like I get that. But yeah, they weren't really acknowledging the Bucs a ton. Whatever.
We've come to expect it. I mean, I don't know why.
If it's gonna like bother a lot of people that much, just mute it. Right?
Yeah,
like,
there you go. I did have Mean Gene on for most of the first half, but he was behind like a whole play and a half from my broadcast, and I didn't really want to pause it for 30 seconds because you and I were hanging out in the last quarter of the game, getting ready for the show, and you're a whole play ahead of me. So like that last fourth quarter was even more boring than it was poised to be. But yeah, man, it's just, I don't know if you get guys in the booth like that, who always find a way to lean one way or the other, it doesn't matter what teams are playing. That always annoys me. Like, cause I'm a big commentator guy. I love play-by-play. Like it's potentially something I want to do eventually, but it's like a pet peeve of mine, I guess. So it's always annoying to hear Buck up there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I honestly, I think Troy Aikman is this is the last announcer talk, I promise. I think Troy Aikman's like a solid analyst. Like he knows what he's talking about most of the time. Yeah. He's he played quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's a smart guy. But yeah, sometimes I don't know. Sometimes they're actually decent, I think, together. And other times they're just not good at all. Yeah, so a little update. The 49ers are up 10-0 on the Cowboys right now. They just kicked the field goal. So I did pick the 49ers to upset the Cowboys. I did do that. So we'll see.
This conversation in particular probably isn't going to be relevant a few hours from now. So if you're listening to this on the podcast feed and it's, Victory Monday or something like that, sorry if this doesn't apply and we already know the answer to this question. But since we are live on YouTube with about 60 people right now, I want to ask you this. Who would you most like to face in the divisional round? We know the possibility that if Dallas wins, the Bucs are going to play the Cowboys, but if San Francisco, who is up 10-0 right now, wins this game, the Bucs are either going to play the Cardinals or the Rams. I know the Rams are probably at the bottom of your list, but I'm curious how the other two teams shake out. Who would you like to play most next week?
I'd want to play the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I think the Cardinals have the worst defense out of those three. And I think that the Cardinals, they seem like they're reeling, man. It seems like I doubt they beat the Rams, honestly. I don't even think they're going to beat the Rams. But
I know they have DeAndre Hopkins, but it's kind of a similar offense to Philly, A lot of RPOs, a lot of quarterback design runs.
Yeah, they're better than Philly, obviously. They're a more talented offense than Philly. The Cardinals earned their way here. But yeah, I'd rather face them just because I think the defense, like I said, the Cardinals defense has struggled a little bit, especially against the run. I think there are going to be a lot of opportunities for the Bucs to put up some points there. So Cowboys would be second. And then, I would say the Rams probably last just because schematically the Bucs just do not match up well. We'll see. In playoffs, anything can happen. They only need to beat the Rams once. It's not like it's a 7-game series, but anything can happen. But you'd prefer to avoid the Rams. Like you said, people listening to this on Victory Monday right now are yelling at their phones or whatever, saying, "No, this team won, so it doesn't matter." Like, okay, but yeah, I would rather play the Cardinals. I think most people probably agree with that too.
No, I definitely agree with you. Let's kind of preview, some of the things returning for Tampa Bay this week, because as we had talked about the offense at the start of the show, they were technically shorthanded today. So some good news, as we had kind of hinted at before, the status of playoff Lenny. It seems like he should be good to go. The Buccaneers did not end up activating him off of IR this week. It wasn't because he re-injured anything. I simply think it's just because he wasn't 100%. Bruce Arians has said he wants him to be as close to 100% as possible if they're going to play him this postseason. And hopefully next week in the divisional round should be the week.
Yeah, I do think it was more of a he's not ready type thing. I think that the Bucs just didn't want to risk it. And, it had to be in the Bucs' mind that they could win this football game withoout Leonard Fournette. Right? It had to be. It had to be in the Bucs' mind that they were going to be able to win this game without Leonard Fournette. Yeah, and it's sort of the same thing with Sean Murphy Bunting. It had to be in their mind that they were going to be able to win without them. And you never want to look past an opponent. And I don't think the Bucs did look past Philly. They looked completely prepared for Philly. So I don't think they looked past them at all. But there definitely was some probably, would you rather, have Fournette here when he gets injured more, or he isn't like the same player, or do you want him to rest a week and maybe get healthier? So I think that was sort of the thing there, so I do expect Fournette to be back. I think Sean Murphy Bunting will be back. Hamstring injuries are a little tricky. But those guys should be back, and we'll have to check on the status of Tristan Wirfs, obviously. We'll see. We don't know right now, right? We don't know. So, but I mean, overall, just not a whole lot to talk about, just because it was a domination. Like it's nothing that we haven't already said. This team came out prepared. They, I was worried that they might not, match the intensity of the Eagles, because, I think most can agree the Eagles had nothing to lose in this game, right? It's not like people are saying right now, oh my God, the Eagles lost. The Eagles were basically expected to lose, right? Based on the lines with Vegas, they were especially expected to lose. I couldn't believe, like, it was at 9.5 one point. Obviously the Bucs covered, but I was like, man, I thought this game was going to be close. And, nobody's really hating on Philly right now. So a lot of the pressure was on Tampa, and I was worried that they might not have matched that intensity, but man, they did. And they kept bringing it, and they didn't stop. And that's what you got to do in playoff football.
Man, it was pretty funny. I mean, just like you said, everybody expected Philly to lose. They did a little pregame skit on the Fox NFL Sunday show, and it was two Eagles fans hosting a sports show. And they asked each other, they said, did you pick the Eagles to win this week? And they're like, hell no. Nobody picked the Eagles to win this week. I was a little bit nervous when they were doing the picks, and it was, Terry Bradshaw picking the Bucs by 10, Michael Strahan, Bucs by 7, Jimmy Johnson, Bucs by 10. Everybody picked the Bucs, and whenever it's a clean sweep like that, I do get a little nervous. But they showed up. They played playoff football, exactly what you would have expected from the defending, reigning, undisputed Super Bowl champions of the world, and you love to see it. Quick
Rhett
update from there we go. Quick update from Jenna Lane, ESPN. Levante David said he really didn't know he was going to play this week until Saturday. That's when he finally realized he would be playing in this game. So I guess that really just shows you how much his status was up in the air until this game. But I think that was
good. He didn't look injured. Really.
No,
he
didn't,
good.
man. I think he really set the tone for that defense early. I think I personally, call me biased, but I'm going to credit Levante David the most for the reason that run defense looked the way that it did this week, because there were so many times where he might not have been the guy making the play, but he was literally going to be the guy to make the play had Jordan Whitehead not made a great tackle in the backfield. Had Devin White not gotten there first. Yeah, real quick. Let's show some love.
We got to talk about him.
We got to talk about.
I think both safeties were just spectacular.
Yeah, Mike Edwards had a great game today. He proved to be that ball hawk guy that he was in
college.
I
guess you can say all three, because I was talking about Winfield and Whitehead.
Oh, so Antoine Winfield got himself a sack. Jordan Whitehead. It's going to be tough for the Bucs to hang on to all these guys eventually, but I really hope they find a way to pay Jordan Whitehead, especially because that guy, he is special, man.
Yeah, he's a good football player, and I think they're going to make an effort, but it might be tricky to keep. Like you said, you can't keep everybody, but I think he's starting to climb up your list of priorities in the offseason. He has to. Yeah, but I mean, it was really good. Just a really, really good, a stress-free game for the most part, right? There was a few times there where you thought maybe Philly would have a shot to get back in it, but the Bucs defense or the Bucs offense closed the door, right? They are really able to adjust well to what Philly was doing. And even now at halftime, I thought, man, this is a good opportunity here with the Eagles, this opening drive. If they score a touchdown here, it's only a 10-point game then. But no, the Bucs defense shut the door. And it does suck that they didn't get the shutout. Like that always sucks, right? Whenever you get those 0 points head into the fourth quarter, and it's in the fourth quarter, you want the shutout.
Well, especially when it's in the playoffs. Like that was the most exciting part.
Yeah.
We talked about the history between this Bucs and Eagles rivalry. These teams were dead even coming into this game. And their playoff history is definitely no different. The Bucs
their playoff history is dead even as well.
The Bucs got the better of them last time they played with the Rondé Barber 6-6. But the 2 times before that, when the Bucs were poised to make a Super Bowl run, the Eagles were the team that stood in the way. So for a lot of old school Buc fans, the final score being what it was today had to feel pretty damn good.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the chat, they say Chris Godwin not there is really different for the Bucs offense. It is, but I think the Bucs have done a good job of adjusting to it. I really do think they have. And before we get out of here, let's give it a quick clap for the People's Champ. Let's clap it up a little bit, huh?
Oh, that
he played well.
Bradley Pinion. I thought so, man. I thought
well.
So.
He battled the elements, played well. I mean, these, it's tough on kickers, tough on punters. And he was good today. So, yeah, credit to the entire special teams unit. Really, this was a game where all 3 units just executed to perfection pretty much. And it was nice to see.
Yeah. Before we get to the take bag to officially wrap things up, we did have a pretty good question in the live chat here from our buddy Michael Henderson. This is a fun one. The question is, what team in the playoffs right now can beat Green Bay? Obviously, the road runs through Lambeau. Green Bay not playing this week. They got the first round bye. They're going to start their postseason next week at Lambeau, which is the toughest place to play in January in the NFL. Michael says, I think it's the Niners if they win and Arizona wins. We have them at home and the San Francisco at home if they beat the Packers. So Michael thinks it could be the Niners. I mean, they are off to a hot start right now. We got to see how they finish up against Dallas, but I mean, if you had to pick realistically of the teams that could go to Lambeau, who do you think could beat the Packers this time of year?
It's going to be tough, especially, with full stadiums too. That adds an extra element because it matters. Like the crowd, like it matters. It does matter. And I was pleasantly surprised, and I will give props to Bucs fans. I thought there was going to be a lot more Eagles fans there.
I did too. I was very glad.
There was a good amount of Eagles fans. There was, right?
But it wasn't anything compared to what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, like I think even there was more Buffalo fans there when the Bucs played the Bills a few weeks ago. I think there was more Buffalo fans there. So glad to see that either if you're selling your tickets that Bucs fans bought them, or if you Bucs fans just go into the games, glad to see it. First home playoff game win since 2002 against the San Francisco 49ers, folks. That's how long it's been since the Bucs won a home playoff football game. So it was really good. I think it's got to be either the Cowboys or the Bucs. I don't think the Rams couldn't do it last year.
You don't think the Rams could do it this year with Stafford?
The Rams got Stafford. I didn't realize. Have you realized he's thrown 17 interceptions this season?
Yeah, he's that second half of the season was tough. I kind of
he's thrown like 7 in his last 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, that's wild. He has been just playing awful.
Like he's been bad. So
so with Stafford being bad, does that not open the door for Arizona just a little bit?
Maybe it might. Maybe who knows?
That Rams defense is pretty tough, but if you got to rely on Matt Stafford doing what he's done the second half of this season, it could be a long day for LA. It could be a close game.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe. I think the Cowboys could, and I think the Bucs could. Now, I think the Bucs would have a much better chance if they were completely healthy. If the Bucs are completely healthy, I think they're probably the best team in the NFL. Like, I don't think there's many teams that have more talent than them. But they're not, right? Obviously. And now there's even questions on if their all-pro right tackle will be available. Who knows? So, it changes things. But I do think if you're looking at just the NFC, right, we're not talking about the AFC because the AFC opponent won't have to travel to Green Bay. That's stupid. They wouldn't have to travel there. So we're talking about the NFC. I don't see the Cardinals being able to do it. I think Rodgers would pick apart their defense. And I don't think the 49ers can because I'm not a huge Jimmy Garoppolo fan. That's why I don't think the 49ers can do it.
I am also in that boat. I know that there was a narrative floated out. I think it was like Schefter that tweeted it this morning that said the 49ers wouldn't be where they are today without Jimmy G. And I guess he has improved his game the second half of the regular season, but I still can't really buy into that whole Jimmy G experience.
Yeah, it's just he's okay, but are you gonna go into Lambeau and beat the Packers like that? I don't see it. And then as far as the Rams, I don't think so. So I think the Cowboys with a good defense, Dak Prescott protecting the football, I think could, and the Bucs with a defense that has given Aaron Rodgers trouble and Tom Brady, I think could. So I think those are probably the two teams there that have the best shot.
Real quick in the live chat, our buddy Coca says, I would say the 49ers because the one big weakness Green Bay has is their run defense. The Browns, Ravens, and many other teams have been able to run the ball effectively, and the 49ers are definitely that team where they know who they are, and they're going to run the ball no matter what. Reznov said Rams have a good shot to beat the Packers, I think. TB12 Goatman says, just us, just the Bucs that can beat the Packers. And some people might agree with him on that one.
Did you actually know that the Bucs are the only team in the NFL that, not the only team in the NFL, but the Aaron Rodgers has the worst record against in the entire NFL?
I love to hear it, man. I mean, we said it a lot last season. Aaron Rodgers hates playing the Bucs. Something about the red and pewter. I mean, it's just got to be something. I think it's Ndamukong Suh, truthfully. I think that's what it boils down to. I think they have to do whatever they can to make sure he is healthy if and when they end up playing in Lambeau this postseason. So as long as he got Sue out there, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be shaking at his boots just a little bit because those guys hate each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely feels like the Bucs are like in Rodgers' head, right?
Yeah.
Like it feels like that's like a thing. Yeah, but I mean, we'll have to wait and see. You still got a lot of games, a lot of football to be played out. We'll see how it goes.
Let's go ahead and wrap up this week's episode with a brand new edition of the Take Bag. Evan, I'm going to hand it over to you as the Philly sports fan. I guess you're a Philly sports fan, but
yeah, besides the Eagles, yeah sure,
everybody's favorite segment with the Philly Bucs fan himself. Do you have the Take Bag this week?
I do have the Take Bag. It's here.
There we go.
First ever playoff Take Bag.
Yeah, the debut of the postseason edition of the Take Bag.
So we got that here. One, I'm gonna give a quick Eagles take. Jalen Reagor is not an NFL player. That dude is terrible.
Oh my
he
God.
is just brutal.
Well, how about the little hissy fit he threw on the sideline? You remember that too? That was
you got no room to talk, dude.
Yeah.
Like you have no room to just shut up. Like honestly, he's bad. The Eagles. Them taking Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson is an all-time draft miss. That is an all-time draft miss. But I digress. Right, the Eagles are home. The Bucs are moving on. So, I just wanted to talk about the officiating. I thought the officiating was fine. A lot of people are going to complain about that Tom Brady roughing the passer thing.
I thought that was the right call.
Everybody's like, Tom Brady gets the calls. Look, like he doesn't get all the calls. Okay. There's a tweet that I'm going to bring up from Luke Easterling.
Oh yeah. This is an all-time great one because the stats are there, folks. The numbers don't lie. If somebody says Tom Brady gets the calls, you know what you tell them? You tell them to check your sheets.
Check your sheets, man, because Michael Silver from NFL Network said, hey, look, a roughing the passer call at Tom Brady at quarterback, right? Luke Easterling quote tweeted, said Brady drew one roughing the passer call all year, tied for the lowest mark in the league this season. So it's not like, Brady gets all the calls. I actually agree that the hit itself wasn't bad. Like I wouldn't call roughing the passer on the hit. It was late, though. That was the issue. To me, the hit was a little late. Brady was standing there for at least 3 or 4 seconds before he got hit. So I think that was the bigger issue. Not necessarily the hit, but I think Brady was it was late. So I didn't mind that. The Bucs did get away with the one Jason Kelce holding call that wasn't really a hold, but I thought the officials, for the most part, were fair. I just wanted to point out that whole roughing the passer thing because that's such BS.
I will say I'm not defending anybody who is going after the officiating for today's game in particular, but I don't blame the people who do. Because how about Jerome Boger, by the way, the NFL's favorite ref, going out and basically getting himself suspended for the rest of the year after the absolute shit show that was Buffalo and New England last night. That was just embarrassing. I mean, Cincinnati and the Raiders too.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what it was.
Yeah,
it was Cincinnati and the Raiders. It was that game. So yeah, it's just weird. And I understand there's not many instances in a play like that's going to happen, right? With the whole whistle touchdown thing. I understand it's like a weird play and it's tough to call, but man, yeah, just super, super weird. Jerome Boger is actually one of the better refs in the NFL.
No, I hate that guy.
I mean, I'm just saying he's one of the better.
Whenever I see him and his lisp on my TV, I know it's gonna be a long afternoon.
And the Bucs yet again.
Offense number 66.
Repeat
second down.
What did he steal your lunch money or something? What did he do to you?
I just hate that guy. I always have so many negative memories seeing him trot out onto the field and call just a deflating flag against Tampa Bay.
Well, that's because the Bucs were terrible.
They were terrible for a long time, but he is just the image that I've always associated with all the bad calls we've gotten over the years. That guy in particular is my least favorite official to see on the TV.
And then real quick, just to wrap up, well, the Bucs both teams each had 4 penalties, so the penalties weren't a huge factor in this. And the wrap of the official. Go ahead.
I was going to say really quickly, just to address one of the penalties the Bucs had, Carlton Davis taking.
Well, that's what I was going to talk about.
He does have to be a little smarter.
Hang on.
Okay, all right, damn. Here we go.
I understand the rule. I understand the rule, right? You can't take your helmet off. I see countless players take their helmets off. Okay, at the end of plays, and they're not called.
We've seen guys do it in the end zone after an interception.
I understand the rule. I get the rule. I know it's a rule, but they don't call it a lot of the time. And I was like, really? And really, for an instant there, that was the play that really might have catapulted the Eagles again, because I believe the Bucs got all backed up all the way.
Yeah.
That was after a 4th down. Failed conversion by Philly. The Bucs got backed up all the way, and then they didn't score. And I think that was the Jalen Reagor muff punt, I believe. So the Bucs did end up scoring on that. But yeah, I don't know. It's the right call, but it's not called too often. So I was like, whatever. But yeah, not a ton to say in the take bag. Just Jalen Reagor's a horrible football player, and that's pretty much it. And real quick from another team, shocked at how the Patriots defense got shellacked.
Yeah,
last
right.
night.
I mean, I know we both picked Buffalo, but we definitely didn't pick them to win by that much.
No, I didn't pick them to put up anywhere close to 47. I picked them to score 20 points the entire game, and they scored it in the second quarter.
Josh Allen played. I mean, literally, the stat is
perfect
there.
Football.
It was a perfect offensive game for the Buffalo Bills. If you want to talk about a useless player in the playoffs, the punter for Buffalo so far has yet to do anything.
Yeah, he hasn't done a thing. So yeah, just man, oh man, what a. And also, real quick, that brings us up to, thank God the whole Patriots-Bucs Super Bowl thing is dead. I'm so glad, because it was never going to happen. The Patriots were a solid team, but they were not a team that was going to go to the Super Bowl.
What do you mean? Rookie Mac Jones isn't a Super Bowl contender?
Get out of my face with that. Like, stop.
All the comparisons to Brady, though.
I know. Well, Brady's never lost a playoff game 47-17. So. Whatever.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's just about going to do it for this week's episode of the Cannon Fire Podcast. Thank you so much to all of our people in the live chat over here on YouTube hanging out with us. We truly do appreciate you. Pete Payne, Willie Beeman, the moderators holding it down. Pete and Adam, our buddies from Bucks UK, TB12 Goatman, B Master, Reznov, Buck Wild, Rudy Love, and anybody else that I may have missed. You guys are truly appreciated. Thank you once again for 3,000 subscribers over here on YouTube. If you haven't subbed to the channel yet, you should. 1, it's free, and 2, it's the best way to experience the Cannon Fire Podcast. Daily uploads on Buccaneer news and topics, and much, much more.
we will have a 3,000 subscriber special to thank you guys and everything. We will have that eventually, but right now, during the season, we're gonna keep rolling on. But yeah, that show is coming and should be a good one. We're hoping to have a few special surprises for you guys.
Absolutely. Check out the show on social media: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those are Cannon Fire Podcast. Best place to go for updates on the show, and of course, Buccaneer news as it happens. Speaking of Bucs news as it happens, you can follow my co-host Evan on Instagram at Bucs_daily, the #1 Buccaneers fan page on Instagram. You can also find him on Twitter at EvanNFL. Last but not least, you can find myself on Instagram and Twitter at Rhettakus, RHETTAKUS. If you follow me, I will follow you back. That's the show, folks. Bucs advance, and they take care of business against the Philadelphia Eagles. 31-15, your final score. We'll talk to you later on this week with some more updates regarding the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a Bucs win as well. We'll talk to you later on this week. Until then, and as always, I am your host, Rhett Matthew, signing off from my co-host, Devin Wanish. We'll talk to you then. Go Bucs.